Gets open for three. Dagger!
The kick, and here it comes. Swing and a miss! And a World Series Game 7 winning Curly W is in the books.
Washington Capitals are the 2018 Stanley Cup champions. You like that? You like that? I like that.
You gotta like that, right?
My approval ratings keep going up.
Sorry to keep you waiting. Complicated business.
This is a very complicated business, Stevie. I can't find the unmute button. The Washington football team can't find the end zone. They eventually did. But what changes around this? What honestly, whatever changes around here. Whatever changes around here. 1 week, 1 loss for the football team. You know, we're cursed, and anybody who says anything differently, I don't know what team you're watching. I don't know what sport you're watching. Only in DC do we end up in the situation that we ended up in yet again, with the quarterback carousel continuing yet again. This sucks. Okay. And look, it's been a couple days. Frankly, I'm still hot. I'm still really annoyed about it because Ryan Fitzpatrick, who flamed out after 5 games in Miami because there was somebody riding his coattails or waiting to come in to be the starter. Ryan Fitzpatrick, who got 7 games in Houston, I think, at least 7 games in Houston. Ryan Fitzpatrick, who in Tampa, when he had Jameis behind him, got 5 games and was lighting the world on fire. And we all drafted him in fantasy. And this guy's amazing, Fitzmagic, whatever. He comes to DC. He completes 3 passes for 13 yards and he breaks his hip. And now it's Taylor Heineke time. And this just sucks. And I don't have any other word for it. There's an actual curse. It's super annoying. People are be like, oh, it's not a real curse, whatever. Only in DC, the stuff like only in DC does Ryan Fitzpatrick take his 50 kids to a water slide amusement park, destroy his hip, think he's fine, get on the field, complete 3 passes, and now he's gone. He's on IR. I think he's out for 8 weeks. This just freaking sucks. And on top of that, for the fans, after a year and a half, no Washington football team fans in the stands. We go and we're ready and we're pumped and let's go and we're going to do this and Fitzmagic and whatever. And what happens? There's literally sewage falling on the fans, right? Like what an embarrassment. What a freaking embarrassment. This team is an embarrassment. This sucks. It's been 2 days. And now even as I'm talking and leading into this show, I'm getting pissed all over again that this team couldn't generate anything from start to finish. Heineke looked great in spurts, but we are cursed. And we can, I can just stop talking.
Settle down, Joe. Okay. I've been waiting 2 nights for this show. Okay. You've been avoiding me for 2 days since football Sunday so that I can come on here and scream, you like that on half of my predictions. Okay. And I assume we're going to go through the entire game.
We don't have time. We don't have time to go through it all.
Well, we better, because I have proven to be clairvoyant from that week 1 preview show, and the season preview I think is going to prove me to be very, very right in what we saw. You want to focus on Fitzmagic, but I'm not going to let you get out of this so easily. We're going to get to that defense, and we're going to talk about that front 7, and you're going to need to explain yourself. And we might as well bring our buddy from San Diego here talking about a top 5 defense in DC, because what we saw on the field was not a top 5 defense, was not a top 15 defense, and there was a young defensive end who stole the show, and his name was not Chase Young. It was Joey Bosa, and the other guy disappeared for much of the game. But, he wasn't even the best defensive player on our team. Montez Sweat had a better game than him, but that front 7 has a lot of explaining to do.
Montez Sweat was in the game for like 6 minutes. He played less than what?
He caused
something snaps.
He caused a 15-yard fumble.
The pass fumble thing. This team freaking is so maddening. Like they have a quality opponent at home to start the season. The Chargers were not a bad team last year. They're certainly not going to be a bad team this year. Last week, we covered them, I think, in a fair amount of detail. I don't think we were like super homers about it. This is a good team. They have a stud quarterback. They've got lots of talent on the offensive side of the ball. The defense is young. And we kind of said, like, these teams kind of mimic each other. They didn't mimic each other at all. Washington could not complete a slant pass the entire game. Washington could not stop the slant pass the entire game. Washington, like, it's just so freaking mind-boggling. And even after all of that, they're still in the game, and they still have a chance to win it. They have no business winning this game. They had no business.
I thought we were covering the other NFL. Are we jumping right into this?
I mean,
I can jump right into it if you're ready. I don't know if you're ready for this.
Yeah, let's just get it out of the way and then we can talk. I mean, I got a couple things from around the league too. You know what? No, let's go around the league really quick. I'll give you mine, then you give me yours. All right. A couple things that caught my eye on Sunday. One, it was really nice to have fans back in the stadiums. All right. And it's not a COVID thing. It's not a red team, blue team thing. It's just nice to see fans in the buildings and cheering their teams on respectively. For me, the one thing, there was a lot that caught my eye, and last night's game was spectacular as well. But really, what caught my eye and what was really just something I wasn't expecting, to be very honest, was how poorly Aaron Rodgers and the Packers played. And I am going to pick a little bit on that Joe Barry defense. We're very familiar with Joe Barry and how anemic his defenses can be. But Aaron Rodgers, man, like that body language on the bench was terrible. The body language on the field was terrible. The body language in the huddle was terrible. Like, he's still Aaron Rodgers. Like, I'm not, making any proclamations after week one, except that Washington's cursed and we're effed basically. Like, this is going to be a long season here in Washington. But that team, that was the one that just kind of stuck with me. I think Pittsburgh going into Buffalo, we can call that one an upset. None of us had that. None of us had the Steelers beating the Bills. But the Aaron Rodgers just looked so poor. So poor. The body language wasn't there. The offense looked bad. The defense was horrendous. Jameis Winston had 5 touchdown throws on, I think, in under 150 yards total. Like, there's just like Green Bay. I mean, again, that is a typical Joe Barry defense. But that was the one thing for me that I just came away with. I was like, wow, like this team has a ton of question marks going into week 2. Washington's got a lot of pressure on them to win against the Giants. The Packers have to get right really quick, or it's just going to be a snowball effect of just, is he going to get traded? Does he want to be here? And on and on and on. What caught your eye, Stevie?
Well, you're talking about a negative surprise. Oh, a great surprise on this podcast that Razzle just showed up. Okay, that's a hell of a surprise.
He's
just
behind
for
the glass.
tonight
He's doing
alone.
stuff.
Okay,
He's doing stuff.
Can't get this guy to show up on time. That's okay.
I'm back, baby. I'm back. We'll talk about that offline and why I was late.
Yeah, we're bringing you in a second here, Razzle. We're talking about surprises for the week, and I'll give you mine. Not really a surprise, but something that I think was just confirmed that I said on the preview show, which is that NFC West is scary. Okay, I mean, don't let what the Lions did in those last 3-4 minutes with the onside kicks fool you. The 49ers kicked their butts all over that field. Jimmy Garoppolo looked good.
Russell Wilson. Why Chaney pull? Like, I don't know. I mean, that was an interesting one too. I don't know why pull. Why pull your starters? Why mess up the betting lines for everybody that's involved? Something weird.
Defense looks good. The 49ers team is a great team. I know that was Razzle's pick, I think, for the Super Bowl. That's a good team. No, okay, fine. Well, I wasn't listening at the time. So Seahawks, I mean, Russell, hey, we had our buddy from the Chargers on here last week talking about Herbert over Russell. I mean, Russell showed that he can still sling the ball around, and Tyler Lockett is a really, really good receiver there. So Seahawks look good. Niners look good. Rams look good on Sunday night. I mean, Stafford,
Arizona
that was
looked the best.
I mean,
but Arizona looked
way to steal my thunder. Okay, you're trying to talk over me here. I got a new mic just so you wouldn't have to talk over me. Arizona looked amazing. I mean, Kyler looked special. Kyler looked like an MVP, where Josh Allen did not. And that could be another surprise there with the Bills-Steelers game. But that NFC West looks like, top to bottom, it will be a dominant division, almost to the point where they're just going to beat themselves up, and then come playoff time, we'll
Is
see
it mathematically
who makes it out.
possible for all 4 to make the playoffs in this new format? I mean,
It is.
It could happen, right?
They can take all 3 wild
split
cards.
all of their games and then dominate everybody else. I think there is a scenario where all 4 teams can make, which is crazy, but they do look miles better than everyone else. The Cardinals, to me, that was just not expected. I expected the Titans with all that offensive firepower to come out and put some points up and kind of impose their will. Derrick Henry did not look like Derrick Henry from last year. Tannehill looked like Tannehill from Miami, not Tannehill from Tennessee. There again, lots of question marks, but that's a well-coached team in a smaller market. It's not Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. For them to get spanked the way they did, it was extremely, extremely eye-opening and just very surprising. And the late game that we saw here, we had on TV here in DC, we had Browns Chiefs, which turned out to be a phenomenal game. And you guys know I'm low key, I am a Browns fan. I just like the way that team plays. I think Baker's got it, whatever it is, when he keeps his head in the game. The Chiefs really didn't have any business winning that game, and then they just showed that they're a really good team too. Like they are a really good team, and Pat Mahomes is Pat Mahomes, and he's going to do things that others in the league cannot do. Overall, for me, like the NFL being back was great. Fans in the stadiums was great. Monday Night Football was great. I mean, I wasn't expecting to stay up to watch that game. That was a really good game too. That was a really good game. Razzle, you give me the finger. Did you have one thing that caught your eye over the weekend?
I mean, probably the number of bets that we lost that caught my eye.
It was a lot.
A lot of bets.
That was a bloodbath, bro.
But no, I mean the number of underdog teams that won this week. You think about it: the Saints. We had the Saints, the Dolphins, the Texans were not favored to win. The Cardinals, we already talked about that. The Bengals squeezing out that game against your boy COVID Kurt.
My playoff team right there.
Yeah. The Steelers, the Eagles. I mean, I don't know if you guys brought up the Eagles in the first part of this, but the NFC East may not be as bad as we thought it was going to be.
Except for one team.
Except for one team. The one that was supposed to be, continue to improve, went out there and literally was dumping sewage on their fans. So, it's such a perfect, it's just a perfect, it just paints the perfect picture for this fan base, this team, and an owner who just doesn't care. Literally, there is sewage falling on people. No one cares. No one cares.
It was rainwater.
And on top, whatever. And on
it
top of that,
it hadn't rained in 3 weeks, but it was rainwater.
Exactly. And to double down on it, we will stupidly go back into the same building and do the same thing and get crapped on again. Right? But Razzle, to your point, Eagles had no business being as good, or they shouldn't have looked as good as they did, even against a bad Atlanta team.
Right.
They look really good. Dallas played a great game on Thursday night and lost. And Stevie touched on this, I think, on the last show, right? Like, there's no moral victories. An L is an L, but like that's as close as you can get to a moral victory as there is. Like, they played really well. Dak looked good. The offense looked good. The defense looked okay. I mean, Dallas is going to be competitive. I wasn't expecting, Jalen and the Eagles to look the way they did. They look pretty good too. And the Giants, and we'll talk about the Giants here in a little bit, and as we kind of preview what's coming up here in a couple nights on Thursday Night Football, we'll come back to the Giants. But let's pivot back here and let's just kind of talk and through kind of what happened on Sunday between, the Bolts and the football team. I don't believe the football team had any real they didn't belong in the conversation. They didn't belong. It just looked like something was off. The offense, to me, and we were doing this via text back and forth on the WhatsApp. The offense lacked creativity from start to finish. It looks like the same anemic, crappy offense that we've been running forever, where we didn't have skilled players. There's just too much of it. Like, there's something just like I can't wrap my mind around how the game plan doesn't call for Terry McLaurin to get targeted like 4 times a quarter. Like, why is he not getting targeted until the second half? Antonio Gibson, lots of touches, lots of yards, looked really good. I mean, I didn't have a problem with it. Obviously, the fumble sucked, but those things are going to happen from time to time. He played a good game. He had 20 rushing attempts. I think McKissick had 1, right? If I'm not mistaken, I think McKissick had 1 rushing attempt for a couple yards or whatever it was. But I mean, they were clearly going to continue to feed Gibson, and he looked like he was able to do the job, right? 20 carries, 90 yards, 4.5 yards per attempt. Not bad. That fumble really just came at the worst time in the worst possible position, like from a field perspective. But like how McLaurin is not getting targeted, and he deserves a ton of credit for that catch he made. But like out of the gate, Fitzpatrick, and look, there's a lot of conspiracy theories that he was actually hurt coming into the game. And I think it's reasonable to discuss them because he didn't look like the guy we were anticipating to come out. He didn't attempt a single deep pass. He connected on 3 passes for 13 yards. Then he eventually had to leave the game. And Heineke looked exactly like what he looked like, last winter in the playoff game. Electric, a little erratic, fidgety in the pocket, moving around, shifting, and ultimately just taking shots down the field and letting playmakers try to make plays, which I can appreciate because the offense looked terrible. That was the one thing for me that, as we kind of talk about what needs to change going into Thursday, this team looked terrible offensively. The defense was a problem too, but on offense, for this amount of, I don't even want to say hype, there's enough skill there to be able to move the ball consistently and generate more third down conversions than they actually did. Going 3 for 10 is just not. It's not okay. It's not.
Well, wait a second here, because all right, if we're going to break down the offense, let's break down the offense, and then we'll get to the defense, because I want to spend a good amount of time on that defense, because that was a piss poor showing on the defensive part. 14 of 19 third down conversions for the Chargers. Justin Herbert looked like the real deal. But that offense, there were really 3 parts of the game for me with that offense. There was the Fitzpatrick part, there was the Heineke part 1, and then Heineke part 2. Fitzpatrick part 1, you're right. It was an anemic offense. Fitzpatrick looked old. He looked rusty. They didn't target McLaurin. The offensive line is a disaster. I will not call it. He will be Jay Leno until he proves that he can block. Okay. That left side, Eric Flowers, Jay Leno, those guys did not hold up. It didn't matter where they put Bosa. Of course, they put him on the right side, left side. He was getting to the quarterback. That's not a world beater defensive line for the Chargers, but they consistently pressured Heineke and Fitzpatrick, and the play calling was just anemic. Now you go to that second part when Heineke does come in, there's some magic there, and actually I disagree with you, Joe. I think they pushed the tempo a little bit with Heineke. They started going some no huddle. He started working the ball down the field, and at some point in the second half, they got conservative with the ball. They started running the ball a lot more. They weren't setting up the play actions. They weren't looking downfield. They started checking down a lot more. Even they had the lead at one point. They got down just 1 score. They never really pushed it. And I thought Heineke looked his best when there was an up-tempo, no-huddle style offense, and he could push the ball down the field to McLaurin. He was clearly targeting him when they got out of the gate in the second half. But everything else just looked – it was bad play calling, bad offensive line protection, and mediocre quarterback play. I mean, tell me I'm wrong, Razzle? There's no way.
No, I mean, it's the Scott Turner offense. I mean, when does it go to coaching? I mean, this offense has always looked this way since last year.
Guys, Scott Turner sucks. Okay,
right. It's Scott Turner
just
offense.
say it.
I mean,
He's terrible.
He's
He's not his dad. Okay, he's.
I wish he was his dad.
There's no creativity there whatsoever in that offense. There's too many weapons on the football team to only convert 3 first downs in an entire game, to only manage whatever it was. What did Heineke actually finish with? 122 yards plus Fitzpatrick's 13. Like, we're talking about under 150 yards. Like, that's crap. That's crap.
The game plan was built for expecting Fitzpatrick to play the whole game, so we can't really, blame anything. Heineke came in, he did what he could. He did his own version of his magic. He did the Heineke thing. But look, does Heineke really give this team the best chance to win over the next 6 to 8 weeks? I mean,
100%. Don't. What's your other solution? Don't do it. You're gonna say Cam Newton. I'm just throwing it out there just to get a reaction. And
he's just trying to get clicks. He's just trying to get likes. Okay. Don't.
No, this team.
No.
Listen.
If this team really wants to be a playoff team, if this team really wants to take the next step, is Heineke the best thing for us? I love Heineke. I think he did a lot of great things for us at the end of last season, especially in the playoff game last year against the Bucs. But over 6 to 8 weeks, I don't know if he's going to get us what we need.
He's the best option they got right now, Razzle. Okay, like, you're not going to go sign somebody off the
Are you telling me Cam Newton doesn't know the Scott Turner offense?
I know the Scott Turner offense. It's not about the stupid Scott Turner offense. It's not about honestly.
But you can't say Cam Newton's going.
You're going to drive me insane.
No. You can't say Cam Newton is off the street. I'm not telling you to go call someone else.
Cam couldn't throw the ball 25 yards last season in a Belichick offense, right?
He can run the ball.
The
shoulders at the same.
He can run the ball. You want to bring him in and go bananas with use them in some weird creative package. Okay, you know what? Let's go get Tim Tebow. Okay, let's have him come in.
Tim Tebow's doing a great job on first take right now.
Meetings on the sideline and get something going on for the.
What about Kyle Allen? I like Kyle Allen.
Kyle Allen is Colt McCoy, is John Beck. It's the same guy we've had as our back.
Well, John Beck is special to Steve.
I love John Beck.
John Beck is very special to Stevie. I think they share a profile pic for a long time.
Yeah,
he's the same guy that we've had for. He's a backup quarterback. Heineke, I'm not saying Cam Newton's a good idea. I'm not trying to make that point here. The point I'm trying to make is what is the best thing for this team for the next 6 to 8 weeks. So that way, if Fitzpatrick comes back healthy, we're in a position to make a run for the playoffs.
The best
That's
thing,
my question.
The best thing is Heineke, because he's had an entire summer to work with this team. Okay, he knows the playbook. He's got it. Okay, in batches, right?
He hasn't won a game.
That's okay, but you know what? It's more than Kyle Allen, right? He gives us like there's
Those
no
are my
film
only
on him,
two
right?
options.
So
that's my point.
you're saying 6 to 8 weeks. Hold on. You're saying 6 to 8 weeks. It's going to take 2 or 3 to get like actual like real footage on him that you're going to be able to scheme against him. Maybe less, whatever. But he's got that thing where he snaps the ball, he's shifty, he moves around, he's not a standing target. And again, like a lot of the teams that are coming up, like the Giants have they have an okay pass rush. Okay, it's not the Chargers pass rush. So, to Steve's point, and I think it's an important one, the offensive line did not play well. The entire team did not play well. But
are we going to get to the defense at some point?
But Gibson was able to get 90 yards, okay, behind that offensive line. They were able to move the ball in spurts, in pockets here and there. But like ultimately, McLaurin has to get more than whatever it was, 6 targets. And he can't be asked to make those crazy he can make those crazy catches, but he's better in space, right? Like there needs to be more. I mean, I think Logan Thomas was only targeted 4 times, right? And obviously he had the touchdown. He saved his fantasy day, but in real life, like on the field, these guys got to get the ball more frequently. Look, Logan is a huge target across the middle. And that's why for me, like there's enough pieces here on this offense that the team should continue to be competitive, regardless of who, like whether it's Heineke or Fitzpatrick or even maybe Kyle Allen. Like there's enough here that you can stay in these games, especially against the less elite teams, let's say, right? And the Chargers are one of those like almost upper echelon teams, and they showed it. But we don't have a Justin Herbert, okay? And the way that this franchise runs, we will never have a Justin Herbert.
You don't need a Justin Herbert. You need to open up the offense. You need more creativity in the play calling.
Do you think Scott Turner will be the offensive coordinator at the end of the season?
No.
Stevie, will he still be the offensive coordinator by the end of the season?
No, because it's the easiest thing to get rid of.
No, they should have kept Kevin O'Connell when they had the opportunity to.
And are we going to get to that defense? Because I'm going to need an apology from both of you about that defense.
I will not apologize after 1 week. Okay, I will say that okay. I don't understand the scheme.
That's stupid, but okay.
I don't understand the scheme. I don't understand why Montez Sweat wasn't more featured. I don't know what happened to the rookie. I honestly think he played like 4 down. His name, I don't think his number was called once in the entire game. But the secondary, again, I said this as when we opened the show, they couldn't stop the slant. I mean, they got dinked and dunked on all game long.
Sorry, Saint Juste. I don't even know how to pronounce his last name, but
come on.
I mean, what was he? He was just getting abused. Now I'll tell you, the one silver lining of that defense was the free agent picker, William Jackson III, played a hell of a game.
Yes,
he played balls out. Cam Curl played balls out as well. But that front seven,
but Stevie, they didn't give up any deep balls. Hold on, they didn't give up any deep balls.
Oh my God!
Hold on, and
no,
they made
but that last drive,
they gave up a third. They gave up a 3rd and 16 when they needed the ball back.
Apparently,
with 5
in
minutes
the
left.
fourth quarter, that defense. I mean, when we were trying to get the ball back, Justin Herbert just picked us apart, found all the holes. They were playing a soft zone. And he was just finding the holes in the defense, and they just kept getting first down.
You didn't need to go deep, exactly, Razzle. They didn't need to go deep. They
okay. So what's the issue, Stevie? What's the issue? So they're not a top 5. They're a top 10. Or are you saying like they're a bottom 5 defense?
The issues. I just want an apology from both.
I'm not going to apologize. It was still a 1-possession game. It was still a 1-possession game.
We'll call the Chargers guy we had on last week. I need an apology from somebody.
Sugar-free Lucas.
I just said that defense is not going to be as good as they were last year. And I was proven right, at least for 1 week. Maybe the Giants will prove me wrong.
We got an easy. We got an easy opponent this week, so hopefully, if our defense don't look good, I'll apologize if the defense looks flat this week.
Well, hold on, Razzle. I would give it a couple weeks because Daniel Jones, that big mouth breather, comes in and just dominates the Washington football team every time he plays them. I mean, he looks like Eli or even Peyton. And by the way, that should have come up in the one great thing from the first week. I don't know if you guys watched that alternate podcast.
I watched it.
That was spectacular. Yeah. That was I could do without Chuck calling football games. Ray was kind of weird too, but those two guys going back and forth with the zings. That was really good. That was really, really good. I actually really enjoyed that too last night. It was better than listening to the actual.
I was gonna say the A team. The B team was better than the A team.
I mean,
they need to
the
put
B team
Peyton
should
and
be
Eli
the A
on
team.
ESPN. Yeah.
Yeah, I do want to touch on a couple other things though before we take a break and then we switch gears and go into the Giants 100%. Special teams looked okay. Dustin Hopkins, we got to talk about Dustin for just a second, okay? Because I expect him to miss every single field goal. So based on my expectation, he did better than I expected. Okay, Tress is Tress. That return game had a little bit something extra that we haven't had here in a long, long time. And I'm not going to hang my hat on it. Like they lost the game, and they could have lost by a lot more. Frankly, they could have lost by maybe two touchdowns or maybe even like 17, 20 points. Like the score, it wasn't that close of a game, but I think if you're looking for some silver lining, they ran the ball effectively. Heineke looked okay in spurts, and he's going to give him a shot. Like Heineke has nothing to lose. If he it's not a Fitzpatrick situation, who's also really got nothing to lose at this point in his career. I think Fitzpatrick, I don't think we're going to see him again for the season. Like he is older. That hip is going to be a problem. If he can't move around, like he was kind of a one-trick pony to begin with. If he can't even like pretend to move around, I think that ship has sailed. But I personally, I don't want to see Cam Newton near this team. Rivera Ron's had multiple opportunities to bring him in, and he hasn't done it. And it's not like Cam, by all accounts, even in New England, he was an excellent teammate. But the in this town, I mean, do you remember Clinton Portis with all the outfits and everything else?
I love CP3.
Exactly. We all loved him. But on Sundays,
CP26.
But on Sundays, he was extremely aggravating because the play just wasn't there. And all the show without being able to back it up, it's just a bad mix. And again,
Joe, if we're bringing in a former QB who's put up some big numbers and some highlight stuff.
Oh, you read my mind. Oh,
RG3 is a phone call away.
I saw the rumblings on Twitter.
Bring him in.
He started his own rumblings.
Let's have some fun.
RG3 posted his own stupid clip.
Talk about sewage falling from the sky.
No. And this was
that guy.
2 years
that guy
ago,
can't get out of his own way.
Yeah,
that guy can't get out of his own way.
No.
He's still with that silly Russian chick.
He's probably on number.
Yes.
He's probably on the third. Yeah.
If he is, I say we bring him in.
To do what? What?
I mean,
what offense is he going to run? He cannot run, and he cannot throw. So what offense is he going to run?
Doesn't he? What does he do? The long jumper? Isn't he like a?
I'm
Olympic
surprised.
guy?
Hold on. Let me just get Stevie here on the record. Are you off Team Heineke, or are you okay with Heineke? Like what's your position here?
I was just going along with all the other stupid ideas that were thrown out. The correct idea is Heineke can get this team to 8-8, and Heineke's not the issue. That's all I've been saying is that there are other areas that this team needs help with. Heineke is not the issue. Heineke knows the playbook. When they take the reins off of him, which they did for the first 10 minutes, and he was able to sling it down the field, I'm telling you, the pace, the tempo, when they went no huddle, Heineke was much more in his element. They slowed the game down. They were trying to kill the clock. They were handing it off to Gibson too much. That was where they lost the game. It wasn't when Heineke came in. They got the lead when Heineke came in. Offense had a spark. It was when they got conservative, when they got too conservative with the play calling, and they took the ball away from Heineke. I'm the opposite. I thought Heineke was great. I thought he looked better than Fitzpatrick. So
do you think,
what are we talking about?
Do you think Turner called those plays? Do you think he called that touchdown play? I don't think so.
It could have been the ghost of Jay Gruden calling that play.
Turner,
what does that matter?
Atrocious. He's atrocious.
I don't know what that matters. What matters is
he coaches offense the way Joe Barry coaches defense. Okay. and if you watch the Packers game, Aaron Rodgers took the biggest L of his professional career. Joe Barry, I mean, look, we
don't put that loss on Joe Barry. Do not. The defense
they
wasn't
couldn't
good.
Stop you. They couldn't stop anybody. The Saints playing in Jacksonville. I mean, that defense shouldn't have looked the way it did, Joe.
The whole team wasn't prepared. They've been distracted all off season. No, don't
Aaron Rodgers.
Okay. Yeah, no, you put the loss on Aaron Rodgers,
Yeah, well, he's the quarterback. So, yes, I do put it on him. Yes, it's very hard to win without him. But look, I want to let's take a pause here. When we come back, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll do let's talk a little bit about the Broncos versus Giants. We do have a guest coming on, Antonio Reyes, who covers the Giants. He's going to come on and kind of share his thoughts on the Giants' Week 1 loss to the Broncos, who actually may end up being a sneaky AFC playoff team. We can maybe get his thoughts on that. And then we'll start talking about Thursday night. I mean, for Washington, there's no secrets here. Washington has to win this game, or it's going to be, it's going to be a bloodbath in DC. And frankly, New York is. I don't know if New York had the same expectations going into the season, but it'll be good to get Antonio's take on that team as well. So let's take a quick break here, and we'll come back on the other side with a guest to break down Thursday night's Giants versus Washington matchup.
Thanks for listening to DTC. We are taking a short break, but we will be right back. In the meantime, check out our YouTube page, which is updated with content regularly, and if you haven't already, find us on your favorite podcast platform and hit subscribe. You can find the show on Apple, Google, Spotify, and Amazon. Just search for DTC or Defeating the Curse. Thanks for supporting us. The show will be right back.
Welcome back into DTC. We are joined by Antonio Reyes, host of Breaking Tackles podcast. He covers the New York Giants. Antonio, welcome to the show. Would love to get your thoughts on what happened, on Sunday between the Broncos and the Giants. It was an emotional weekend, I think, 20-year anniversary of 9/11. Right. There was a lot. I mean, I actually watched that game in full. I watched it back in full. The Broncos, before we talk about the Giants, let's just talk about the Broncos. Mm-hmm. These guys always kill me because I have an AFC team and an NFC team, and my AFC team happens to be where my wife is from, which is Denver. Okay. So I'm a little bit aware of what the Broncos got going on. Nobody expected Teddy Bridgewater to do much. He came in and looked like the Teddy Bridgewater from Minnesota, frankly, from many, many years ago. Melvin Gordon looks like he's still got some pep in that step. He took it to the house. I think it was a 70-yard run, maybe even longer. I mean, the Broncos are my sneaky kind of dark horse pick for AFC, maybe an AFC wild card. I had them beating the Giants, full disclosure. Right. I didn't see them going. I didn't see the game kind of going this way. And
whipped.
I expected a little bit
so
more.
Whipped.
Yes, I am.
So
yes,
whipped.
Yes,
okay.
yes. I hope my wife listens to this. I will play this back for her because I love her. No, but I'm just curious to get your thoughts. I mean, what did you think going into week one? Was this a game that the Giants felt they could win?
So I was watching, first and foremost, guys, thank you for having me on. I just want to say that I was watching the preseason for the Broncos, every snap that pretty much Bridgewater took. And the one thing that I took away from that was Teddy's a little bit inaccurate, but what he does really well, and this is the number one problem in the Giants, is that he buys time with his feet. He extends plays. And that is honestly any quarterback, and again, we'll talk about Heineke, but that's the problem for the New York Giants. The Giants pass rushers, our outside linebackers do a terrible job when it comes to pass contain. They do a decent job when it comes to run contain, but pass contain they don't. But anyhow, Bridgewater, it was amazing to see him just, a lot of third down conversions, a lot of missed assignments from us. I'm gonna tell you this much though. I was really impressed from the Broncos. Their defense is solid. They have a whole bunch of guys that, again, Gordon, like you mentioned, looks great. Williams, a backup. It's hard to tackle that guy with just one person. It's a stacked team. Now, Jerry Jeudy just got hurt in that game, and he might be out for a while. So will that hurt him? Of course it will. Jerry Jeudy is an amazing player. But regardless of the fact, they're gonna win games, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're definitely contending for the division and the wild card at the same time, like you mentioned. It's a scary team, and I didn't expect that much. It's all about Bridgewater, and he just exceeded my expectations. I didn't think he was going to be that accurate and just that good.
Yeah, Antonio, lucky for me, I'm single, so I don't need to care about the Broncos. Let's pivot to Thursday's game. And right. I got a personal kind of interest here and investment here in Saquon.
Where's the fantasy ball? Ring the fantasy ball.
That's my fantasy guy. Okay.
Every week, this guy only cares about his fantasy players.
Hey,
tell me what you saw in Saquon last week, and tell me, did he meet expectations? Is that what the game plan was to get him that number of carries? Are we going to increase his workload in the coming weeks? Did he have any setbacks post, game? How did he look to you?
So I'll be honest with you. Saquon is not the problem. The problem is the type of plays that they run for Saquon. If Saquon doesn't have a lead blocker, either a fullback or a guard pulling, it's going to be a problem for him. He is a way better running back when he has a guard or a fullback pulling for him in front of him. And there was just one play where I saw there was just a pulling guard. And that play, maybe he got 6 yards on that play. Everything else, it was just dive plays out of shotgun. That's not how you use Saquon effectively. Because it's just, frankly, our defense is just, as opposed to the Broncos were, when they were in shotgun and they were doing run plays, they were even pulling 2, even sometimes 3 guards in a play. Well, not obviously not 3 guards, but pulling 3 different players, including both guards. And that's pretty much it. If
but is he healthy?
I was just going to say, are
you healthy? I mean, 10 carries that's not.
No, so it's
that's not a full workload.
Though the only reason why they gave him 10 carries was because we were going to play on Thursday. And again, just remember, he didn't play at all in the preseason. They're just ramping him up. I expect maybe another 10 carries, unfortunately, for this game, maybe 10 to 15 the most. But I don't see him getting 20 touches in this upcoming game on Thursday, unfortunately. I see him getting 20 touches after this Thursday's game, to be honest.
Do you see Daniel Jones throwing the ball 40 times again?
I honestly, I do. Unfortunately, that might be a big problem. One thing that I did see on the Redskins defense was a lot the inside runs for again, I keep forgetting who you guys were playing right now. For the Chargers was working really well. And Eckler is not a big guy, and Eckler was just getting some good runs up the middle. So I'm curious to see if the Giants can pull that type of thing again against you guys. But you don't know. Again, I hate dives for the Giants. I just want to see him pull or get a fullback in there and just run smash mouth.
I'm just sorry. We all love that you're calling them the Redskins.
We love the name, baby. We love the name.
We're all smiling.
Until you guys get another name for Washington football team, I'm sticking with Redskins, man.
We're all sitting here thinking, who's going to break it to the guy?
We changed the name.
I'm calling Washington football team. Let's go. I'm sorry about that.
So I have like two kind of tactical questions. I mean, you heard our lead in here. I think you were listening to the majority of the first part of the show.
Right.
Washington has a lot of things that they need to correct. They're going to have to force the ball more to Terry McLaurin. They're going to have to give Antonio Gibson, the 18-ish or so carries that he had against the Chargers. I think that's going to have to happen again. It is a short week. Our offensive coordinator lacks creativity and lacks anything that resembles vision. So I'm expecting very vanilla. Well, I'll take your word for it. I honestly, I don't know how much worse you can be than Scott Turner, but
lack of motions. Giants I'll tell you right now, I'll break it down a little bit. I'll give you a little scouting report on the New York Giants. The New York Giants just don't throw deep balls. We had one deep ball over 20 yards in the last game. We don't run motion. We're probably one of the teams where we run the least motion. And when I'm talking about motion, I'm talking about literally moving from one end of the field to the other. That type of motion where you're running, you go halfway and then you go right back to the position where you was. Unfortunately, for young quarterbacks, that doesn't really tell you much because the defense might not even move from the position. As opposed to look, for example, the Kansas City offense where there's motion in every play from one end of the field to the other. It tells young quarterbacks, even Mahomes, and Mahomes still needs that help, where it tells him whether it's a zone or man coverage. Jason Garrett we've seen this since he was in Dallas. He's pretty much a line him up and go type of coach. He still thinks that he has that powerful O-line from Dallas, and unfortunately, we have a mediocre O-line, in my opinion. And it's a very basic offense. I don't know what it is. Either we're protecting Daniel Jones or Jason Garrett just doesn't have that many plays that's down the field. But to have only just one play of 40 yards in an entire game, that's embarrassing.
Well, yeah, Antonio, like you said, with a limited offense around Saquon Barkley, what else is really left? I mean, I know you guys brought in Kelly Galladay in the offseason. He's kind of getting warmed up. He spent a lot of time in the preseason hurt. Talk to me about Jason Garrett and now year 2 of Joe Judge. What's the vibe with the coaching staff? What's the outlook on them? What are fans? What is talk radio and New York talk? What are their outlook on the coaching staff?
So everyone wants Garrett out. Obviously, it's just his offensive playbook is just terrible. Coach Judge is still loved. He's a very gritty guy. He does represent New York. He has that personality, even though he's not from New York. But he does have that personality that we're looking for in a coach. Kind of reminds us of the Tom Coughlin in a way. Problem is, again, it looks like our defense is on point, but when it comes to the offense, it's a little bit shaky. And guess what? New York is not patient at all. That's one thing that we don't have as New York is his patience. And, if this keeps going that way, maybe you're looking at Judge, unfortunately, in the hot seat. And I love Judge. Right. I do want him to stay here for another 10 years, but it is what it is. I mean, I don't even know if it was him that brought Garrett. I'm pretty sure that had to do something with Gettleman.
I feel like
and
it came from
ownership.
above. I remember that when they hired, they kind of.
I am 100% sure that they just didn't want to give him the reins. They want to get him to kind of feel like it's part of it. And unfortunately, I can see it. I can see at the end of this year, at least, I can see Gettleman and Garrett both gone at the end of the season. But Judge is gonna stay.
Right, but that's subject to it's basically all on Daniel Jones' shoulders at that point.
I don't think so. I think also Jones's last year is this year. I think that we will be drafting a quarterback, especially if we're a top 5 draft pick next year, because we have 2 draft picks next year.
Right, so you guys drafted Daniel Jones the same year that we drafted Dwayne Haskins, and we cut the leash on him much quicker than you guys did.
I love Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah, I mean, you guys got to remember they drafted Daniel Jones 6. We thought they were going to draft Dwayne Haskins, and we ended up taking him at 15.
Yep. By the way, do you guys know if you guys were going to take Jones at if Jones was there?
I think the plan was at the time to take Jones at 15.
Well, they're both.
I remember that. I remember
they ended up dropping back and then picked up Sweat, right, or in the late around 26.
They traded up to get Sweat, but they stayed put at 15. To take Haskins, and then we didn't even.
But Daniel, but on Daniel Jones in particular, I mean, is this experiment over? I mean, is this are we just clock watching?
I'll be honest, since they drafted him, my problem was when I saw his college tapes. Listen, I just saw highlights. I didn't even study college tapes. I don't really look at college ball. I look at highlight tapes just to see what the guy's doing. I looked at his highlight tapes and I didn't see him not once extend plays in college. And as soon as I saw that, I said, "Oh snap, we're in trouble." It just
especially with that offensive line.
Just any offensive line. Look at even Josh Allen in Buffalo. He's extending plays. And
he's a beast.
Listen,
Allen's a beast.
No, dude. And it's just the NFL today. If you don't have a quarterback who's going to extend plays, I don't care how good their offensive line is, it's not going to matter. And the quarterbacks who do extend plays, they say, "Oh yeah, those guys have great offensive lines." No, it's also the fact that when you're looking on paper, that guy didn't get sacked or barely got sacked or barely got hit. But he also did his own O-line a favor. He extended the play for them. So that's some things that people just don't see on paper. And they're looking at PFF stats, which is garbage. I hate PFF O-lines gradings. I never look at that stuff.
Well, look, if Daniel Jones played the football team every single week, right? I mean, he would be he's an all-pro. In his career, he's 4-0 against Washington,
right?
70% completion, 70% completion percentage.
Yeah.
Almost 1,000 passing yards, 8 touchdowns, and most shocking, I'm looking at it right now, 21 rushing attempts for 123 yards, which is good for 6 yards per carry. He's just got Washington's number consistent.
Meanwhile, he doesn't scramble enough in any other games. I mean, I'm surprised you just mentioned that right now because he just doesn't use his legs enough. He scrambled maybe twice, I think it was during the Denver game. I'll tell you right now. I'm looking at the stats right here in terms of rushing. Jones carried. Oh, he said he carried it 6 times, but I'm pretty sure 2 of them were sacks. So that counts as a rush. It's just he was not even a rusher, by the way. Yeah.
Antonio, he won't need to scramble because that overrated front 4 will give him plenty of pocket to throw into. But listen, you've it's been week 1. You've seen 4 teams play in the NFC East.
Right.
Where do the Giants rank? And for fun, where does the WFT team rank? And I'd like to also ask Tweedledee and Tweedledum over there as well, what they think.
I think it's dead last. And I did, let me just say real quick one thing too. I heard you guys talk about Heineke. And you guys weren't it was kind of 50-50 with Heineke. Just remember, guys, he probably didn't get first team snaps to practice that week. He's definitely
tell him, Antonio. Tell him.
Definitely will get it now.
That's a solid point. I'm with you there.
And dude, you saw him. He came in. He was inaccurate, but then he started getting his groove in. He's gonna get plays this week that are specific for him, not for. They probably didn't have nothing for Fitzpatrick. I mean, obviously nothing for.
You got too much faith in Scott Turner.
Well, listen, I really like what you guys did with that guy in the playoffs. When I saw him in the playoffs, even against Tampa, the guy lost. I was like, nah, this guy got something. He might not have the strongest arm. First of all, his arm is stronger than Fitzpatrick's arm, which is important. That gives you another dimension that maybe Fitzpatrick can give. The worst thing for a Giants fan that could have happened was that this guy, Fitzpatrick, got hurt and you guys got Heineke in. Honestly, in my opinion, I hate it that he is now going to be starting on Thursday.
Guy gets it. Guy finally gets it. Okay, we're stuck with these other 2.
But Antonio, looking at the rest of the NFC East, we saw the Eagles look impressive. I mean, it was a weak Atlanta Falcons team. that, we expect a little bit more from them. Obviously, we saw the Cowboys, what they did on the opening night.
Correct.
What do you think about who do you think's taking this division based on week 1 observations?
To be honest, I can tell you who's going to be in last place in this division. It's going to be the Giants, to be honest. Unfortunately, I love Jalen Hurts. In terms of quarterback rankings, to be honest, I put Prescott first, Hurts second, Heineken third, Jones fourth. And I think that's exactly how it might end up in the division, to be honest. Well, I put in terms of the division, I'll say Washington has second place. They can't do any worse than second place, to be honest.
Okay.
But I think it's Dallas division just because they're just the more stacked team. At the end of the day, even if their defense gives up 30 points, Dak Prescott could score 40 points. And that's, hey, listen, today's NFL, you're always in it when you have a good offense.
Yeah, I'm with you on that too. I think this is where the good teams generally separate themselves. You can have an average defense.
Mhm.
If your offense is lights out, they're going to go get points. And Dallas showed that on Thursday night.
And
It's
just
the
think
opposite
about
of what Washington did, right? Washington, we were expecting like this team in Washington, like
they're
defense
stacked.
kind of
Washington's
built to be
stacked.
the
They have
opposite,
offense.
right?
They have, yeah.
So like, yeah. So, and to Steve's point, everyone's like, well, they only gave up 20. In reality, they gave up like maybe 35 because if Herbert doesn't throw that pick, if they convert that.
But if Gibson doesn't fumble, you guys win the game.
No, I don't think so. I think that's a long shot. The way that offense
Well,
was.
let me
moving,
tell you one
no.
thing that I did see about Gibson that I didn't like. He keeps trying to bounce out runs to the outside.
Yep.
And if
He's a receiver. He's a receiver playing running
Hey,
back.
listen, if he wants to do that against us, you guys might lose the game just right there too. Also,
Well, what's
He's
your
not
pick?
running-
This is my favorite part of the show.
I think
What's the
Washington
pick?
wins. Washington wins.
Give us a
Washington
score.
wins.
What's the line? What's the line, Razzle? We need the
Oh,
line.
17, 28-7. Something like that. You guys win by 10.
Wow, you think Washington's going to find 27 points?
Turnovers on our offense going to give you guys a good field position. That's the only reason why.
So it's become a little bit of a tradition here that we put in a 4-way parlay. So we each got one. We'll put you in on one as well. I'm looking up my line right now.
Looks like it's the Washington football team's favored by 3 right now with a points of 40.5.
So it sounds like that's our first one, Razzles. We're gonna take the points. We take the over.
Take the over.
I wouldn't do the over on that one.
Oh,
All right, looks.
Even-
We don't
even-
like taking unders, but we'll take the under.
Even if I gave you guys a score, I would be. Oh, I say 27. It still would be an over, but man, I just don't trust Jones. To be honest, I don't trust the Giants' offense to muster any more than 7.
especially with the limited Saquons. I mean, the Saquon's the whole offense, passing, catching, all that.
So that's another thing too, though. Jones does not like dumping it off to his running backs. He loves throwing flats to tight ends. He loves throwing flats to fullbacks. But he just does not like to give those release plays. Just doesn't like throwing it to a running back. That's one thing where it's funny because Eli sucked his last couple of years with us. But if Eli was in this offense now, at least Eli's could work the pocket. This guy Eli will at least move up the pocket, work side to side. He had more pocket awareness than Jones. Jones has 0 complete pocket awareness.
Did Evan Ingram practice?
Not last week. I'm not sure about this week yet. I haven't seen any reports. I didn't check any reports of the Giants this week who practiced, who didn't. I wouldn't be surprised if he's playing though this game, and we need him. Everybody in New York hates, for the most part, the fans hate Ingram. I understand what's the value of Ingram. It's just a mismatch almost on any safety, on any linebacker. People just don't understand that even if Ingram doesn't get the ball at all, you can't line up a linebacker against him. You can't line up a safety against him. You just don't understand that.
So look, we got some interesting lines here, Stevie. I'm gonna go to you first. We got so player passing yards. So Heineke and Jones are both, the line for both is at 230. That's an interesting one. Do you think I just wasn't, that's a little surprising to me. And then passing touchdowns, both are at 1.5 as well. So I just don't see this as a high scoring game personally. I don't think they're going to throw 2 touchdowns apiece, but that's an interesting prop if we're looking for something to be creative with. Logan Thomas to catch a touchdown at plus 200. I like that one.
Quarterback that throws 2 touchdowns is probably going to win that game, to be honest.
Yeah, I like Heineke to get a rushing touchdown. Let's see what the prop is on that.
All right, you take that, Joe, and I'm gonna put me in for Logan Thomas. Logan Thomas anytime score plus 200. Saquon doesn't even have a line.
What are we doing? Are we doing game predictions?
I'm ready. I got my score ready, Stevie. You want to go first?
Yeah. I'm the only one that's 1-0 on here. I don't know what you picked it last week,
You are
Antonio.
1-0.
I'm 1-0.
Can we
Okay.
verify that?
I
Joe?
picked the Chargers.
He picked the Bolts. He picked the Bolts.
Okay.
I picked the Chargers last week. This week, I think it'll be a race to the bottom. I think it'll be a really, really crappy football game, and I think the WFTs will win 20-17 on a last-second Hopkins field goal.
All right.
Such an awful game.
If it comes down to Hopkins, we don't win the game, but okay, that's fine. Razzle, what's your pick?
I think it's going to be a very low scoring, bad coaching on offense type of game from both sides. I'm going to say 17-13 Washington football team, which gets us on the under on the points, and it gets us covering the spread. So that's the bet I'm going to be putting in right after this.
I think I'm gonna do that too.
So Antonio, give us your pick then, Antonio. What do you got?
I did say 27-17. I'm actually gonna take it back. I actually like that 2014 range-ish right there. I think that's gonna be kind of more like the game right there, to be honest, guys. I don't see Daniel Jones throwing 2 touchdowns in this game, unfortunately. Listen, or it could just be a crazy game because it's Thursday night and you might have freaking a crazy scoring uproar for no reason. I mean, that's how these kind of things turn out to be also. It's very unpredictable, but I mean, I don't know. I'm actually gonna, if I was making a bet, yeah, I would absolutely do it. Maybe 2013, 20 something like 2014, something like that. And I'll say the Redskins are gonna win that game.
It's gonna be an ugly football game.
It's gonna be ugly. I
don't know. I'm a defensive type of guy. I like seeing sharp defense. So if it's a low scoring game, I'm actually excited for those kind of things. Now, if it's a sloppy offense game, that's a different story. I think unfortunately for the Giants, it might just be sloppy on offense. So yeah, if you're talking about that kind of ugly, then yeah.
I think Washington will get it done, Stevie. I think ultimately there's a lot of pressure on this defense to show up. This is a team that they are expected to beat. You know, and no offense, but they are significantly better than the Giants offensively and defensively. They should be able to get past this team with relative ease. I think they win. I got them scoring a little bit more points than you guys do. I have them pushing like 25, 26 points. I think the Giants will probably find the end zone. I think Saquon may get a little bit right against this team, but I mean, unless he touches the ball 20 times, I don't see how the Giants can win. So I'll take DC as well. But DC has to have this, and it's I think Antonio said it best. Like if New York falls to 0-2. They weren't expected really to win either of these games. If DC falls to 0-2, we needed a split, and in reality, we really needed to get 2 wins here because the rest of the schedule for the next 7 weeks is very, very difficult.
I mean, we're going up to Buffalo right after this.
Yeah, I mean, there was about 50,000 fans, in FedEx this past Sunday. Half of them aren't there if this team starts 0-2. Like radio ratings go down, everything goes down the toilet.
That's
again,
crazy.
which again, sewage raining from FedEx. We'll see what happens on Thursday night. But I wanted to say
there's going to be a lot of blue on Thursday night. There's going to be a lot of blue.
Always.
Yeah.
They can have it. They can sit in traffic for 2 hours. Good for them.
Yourselves out. Enjoy the chicken nuggets and the $20 beers.
I was going to say, Antonio, are you coming down? Or?
No. I want to make that trip just to see my team lose. I'm not making any road trip for the Giants until I'm confident that the Giants have a capable team on the field, unfortunately. And that's not going to be until we have a new quarterback next season, hopefully.
That's a very reasonable policy. As long as your current quarterback doesn't end up as our quarterback, then we are on the same page there. Antonio,
he's going to be a backup for someone. So, yeah, that's true.
Well, he can do that as long as it's not in Washington. But I want to say thank you for joining the show. Antonio Reyes from the host of Breaking Tackles podcast covering the New York Giants. Antonio, where can everyone find your show?
Guys, on Twitter, you guys could just follow me on BT Giants. That's just BT Giants. And again, I'll be honest, I'm not a Giants everything do good to see glass half full. I call it how it is. So if you guys want to just get the real truth, and if you guys are playing Washington that week, I suggest you guys follow me on Twitter, and on YouTube is where my podcast is gonna go out. It's gonna be out by tomorrow morning, and it's just YouTube/N_Tony_O. And that's where I have my different things. Again, you'll see the link also on my BT Giants. So thank you guys for having me. You guys have a great podcast. I love your energy. And, I'm not gonna say good luck because we're going against you guys. So hopefully we can pull off an upset. And I can't wait to hear your podcast if you guys do lose this game. It's gonna be so funny.
If they lose, this will be a catastrophic show.
It's gonna be
Friday.
most watched.
This will
It's
be
gonna be most
terrible.
watched. I am gonna advertise you guys on the Giants Twitter.
Yeah, I wouldn't wait for an invite back if we lose.
Thank
We
you.
may not be calling you in December.
That's right.
We may
That's
not
right.
be. We may not be here in December.
We didn't invite the Chargers guy back.
Sugar Free was good though. Antonio was great too. Antonio, thank you very much for making time.
Yep.
Razzle, thank you
Likewise,
for
guys.
making time, working behind the glass as always. Stevie, thank you for making time on mic number 2. I appreciate you guys. My name is Joe. This has been Defeating the Curse. You can find us on every social media platform, every podcast platform, and very soon on YouTube as well. If you want to check out video from these shows, they'll be posted there too. Thank you very much for hanging with us. Until next time, we are out.